Coach B's Driving School, our very first sponsor of the Timeout Show, they have a Christmas special going on. If you have not checked out Coach B's website at coachbsdrivingschool.com, you need to do that. They have some great deals, and you can save a lot of money for driver's education. So they'll save you $35 off the regular price to the first 26 that sign up. You can go to Coach B's website at coachbsdrivingschool.com to register for the class. And if that one won't work out for you, check out Coach B's 2017 schedule, updated and online at coachbsdrivingschool.com. Our show is also brought to you by the Jack Smith Agency, Randy's Auto Body, Performance Automotive in Hillsdale and Jonesville, and, of course, Beck Chevrolet. We want to thank all of our great sponsors for being with us for the Timeout Show as we are once again, for the second time in the month of November, broadcasting from the Broad Street Tavern in the heart of Hillsdale, where they have a Taco Tuesday going on. Bob actually mentioned on the air that I was having a taco. My wife, listening over there by the hospital and making my dinner, heard that and sent me some choice text messages just a few minutes ago. So I'm in the doghouse, but I did experience a couple of the tacos. They were excellent. We want to thank the Broad Street Market for that, or the Broad Street Tavern. They are doing the tacos tonight at a great price. Come and get it. Announcement on the New Year's Eve event is about to be happening. Stay tuned to Facebook. Cindy wouldn't even tell me what it was, but they have a big announcement coming up in terms of their entertainment for New Year's Eve. That's coming up in the next few days. And so be watching for that on Facebook, Broad Street Tavern on Facebook.com. They also can tell you that Dale Vaughn will be there on Saturday the 31st, so that will definitely be a party here for New Year's Eve. Coming up Thursday, December 1st, Psychic Night with Lynn Morrow. Will the Lions win a playoff game this year? You can ask Lynn Morrow on Thursday, and she can see the future. 6 o'clock for that. Saturday, Rock for Tots, 5 bands. It's a charity event for Salvation Army coming up Saturday the 3rd. And that'll be happening right here at the Underground at the Broad Street Tavern. Remember, they have the brand new 5-spot lunch menu. And that's going Monday through Saturday. They've got a bunch of different lunch items for $5, including half a sandwich, half a wrap. They've got ham and bean soup with cornbread, open-faced hot roast beef with mashed potatoes and gravy, 3 tacos and tortilla chips, sun-dried tomato pesto chicken, and 6-piece sushi roll for $5. Check out the 5-spot menu now at the Broad Street Tavern. And remember, they also feature all of those sushi offerings that they've had for a couple of months now, and those are very popular as well. Brad Felix is the head coach of the Hillsdale Hornets. He and the guys are here tonight to talk a little Hornet basketball. Fun to talk to Brad in a year when my Lions have swept the Vikings 2 in a row. I don't think we've ever had that since you and I have been working together, Brad. Tough year for your Vikings in terms of those losses against the Lions.
I'm real disappointed that I had to come on after the Thanksgiving game. Very disappointed. I think you rigged it personally so that this would happen.
I don't know how the Lions won even one of those games, let alone both of them. They were both kind of fluky at the end. Now, is it true that you actually have already been to the new stadium in Minneapolis?
You got to bring that up too, huh? Yes.
So they lost the game you were at. That was the Lions game, right?
Are you just rubbing this in?
Maybe a little bit.
Yes, I did. I flew into Minneapolis, saw the Lion game. I went there to see the new stadium. Unfortunately, Lion tickets were the only ones available. So it was a great game, extremely loud, one of the greatest stadiums I've ever been to. Real disappointed in the result of the game, but both games with the Lions have been great. They're entertaining, but yeah, the Vikes have suffered way too many injuries, and they just can't overcome them anymore.
Do you think that Bridgewater losing him was a blessing or a curse? I mean, because you bring in Bradford, who's a pretty accurate passer when he has time. Bridgewater's still kind of growing into that. Is that the problem? Is it AD? I mean, what do you think the issue is right now with the injuries? They're still 6-5, right? I mean, they're having a pretty good season nonetheless.
Right. Well, we're 6-5 after going 5-0, so we're not good right now. And the problem is the offensive line. I think they've got one starter left. We're playing with some third-string guys out there, and we just can't. There's no time for Bradford. You saw it on Thanksgiving. I think we completed 31 3-yard passes. I like Bradford. He's accurate. He's good when he has time. He looked good early in the season. But the more offensive linemen that go down have just killed us. And there's a reason those guys sit on the bench. They're not as good as the starters.
Brad, we have a football season continuing on, and it'll be interesting. I posted on the Facebook page tonight, who's more likely to win the NFC North, the Lions or the Green Bay Packers? The Packers dismantled Philadelphia last night on the road, and I always just assume the Packers will win eventually. Is that how you're feeling too?
Packers scare me. They're by far my worst hated team. Not a Packer fan at all, but I think they're out of it personally. I'm a little disappointed you didn't have the Vikings in that mix. We're not out of it yet. We're going to lose on Thursday, but I think we got a favorable schedule going down the road compared to what you have. And let's face it, between the Lions and the Vikings, very similar franchises as far as just kind of choking, giving your fans some hope, but then never finish the deal. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Vikings snuck back up in there, or the Packers won it. We both get nothing out of this.
Yeah, I think the Packers will probably win it. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. I haven't seen the signs that the Vikings are going to turn it around late in the season, but they do have an easier schedule with some home games coming up. I have no faith on the Lions. You know that. We've talked about it before. They've got to go to New York. They've got to go to New Orleans. They have a home game with Chicago, which ought to be a win. But, again, they've trailed in the fourth quarter every time this year, including the Bears game. They are capable of losing to anybody at any time, and we've well established that.
Right, I agree. But at the same time, they show a lot of moxie in their wins. They're never out of it. Their guys are confident. They believe they can win. And I tell you, even from the standpoint of high school basketball, even in the pros, it's a mindset. And right now the Lions, they think they can win. So that's half the battle.
I think you're the top basketball coach in our county. I just really admire the way you prepare. Even though I like to bust your chops about the Vikings, I really love your teams and the way that your kids are prepared to play the sport. It's a transition year for you without Ben Baxter and Martin Peterson and that connection to, Patrick and all of those guys, the stars that you've had in the past. This is exciting, though, isn't it? Because some new guys really have the opportunity this year to step up and be the man. And for you, what's it like as you kind of get into a new season with a new group?
Well, you're right. We took some hits, between even with Joe Phillip not being around. He wasn't the flashiest point guard in the world, but he got us into our plays and was very efficient, kind of like Andrew Wilcox, same kind of deal. So we've got new guys stepping up there. Quite frankly, I think that's the biggest impact on our team right now is just leadership out front. But it is exciting. We're changing some things up defensively. We're running some new offensive things for the kind of guys we have. And quite frankly, I think it's energized me a little bit, not doing the same old thing every year. At the same time, it's scary because we are changing some things, and I don't know where the cracks are, and it's coming along slowly. Yeah, slow enough that you get worried, like, should we just throw this away? But you got to remind yourself you're only 2 weeks in, and we'll get better and better as the season progresses.
Can you give our listeners, I know you don't want to give everything away, but can you give the listeners one specific thing that you changed?
I don't really want to give anybody what we're changing, but let's just say we're amping up the pressure a little bit. You remember probably back in the day when we pressed and got after it. So we're going to get after people a little bit.
Just a little bit. We're getting all kinds of feedback here at the Broad Street Tavern as we try to dial in the sound. Some weeks we've got not enough volume. Today I think we might have a little bit too much, but we're talking to Brad Felix, the fine high school basketball coach here at Hillsdale High School. I talked to Lem quite a couple of times this year. They missed the playoffs and had some struggles this year. his program has been the model of consistency over the years, as yours has. You know, as you saw what happened with the football team this year, obviously you don't want to take a step back with basketball. Are these kids determined to make sure that you can excel in every way possible after what happened there?
Yeah, I don't. Usually there's some carryover there from football to basketball, but surprisingly enough, this is one of the few years where some of our main guys didn't play football. So I think in that respect, for one, this only probably the year that I would say this, it might be an advantage that they didn't play football, because a lot of guys aren't coming in with that negative feeling. And yeah, it is surprising. These guys have had more time off than they're used to, for sure. I mean, usually we're 2 or 3 days and they're back into it. These guys they've gone through conditioning week, which they dread, and they've all had to do it. But I will say, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but usually we suffer a lot of injuries before our first game even happens. And I'm wondering if it's because football goes so deep and they go right into basketball without any rest. We've really, knock on wood, we've been clean of injuries so far.
Yeah, that's a huge factor. We're talking to Brad Felix here from Hillsdale High School. Yes, ma'am.
She said that you have it down or something. Do you have yours down at all?
The audio that you're playing over the public speakers, you can have it on, but just not quite as loud as it was.
All right, let me go get some.
Okay, thank you. We're just trying to find that perfect volume, because we do have quite a few fans here at the Broad Street Tavern. We apologize for the interruption. The staff's doing a great job trying to get that figured out. The game of basketball, do you get bored with it? You've been coaching it forever. I thought a few years ago you were thinking about hanging this up, and now you're activated again and into it, and not that you ever weren't. But, Adam's going to be a freshman next year. I know you're going to want to coach your kid. Is it still fun for you to go to the gym every day?
Yeah. There's times that I've definitely thought about hanging it up and retiring, and not just because of, my own personal feelings, but sometimes I think maybe the kids, would like a change as well, maybe a new face in the program. I've thought maybe I've gotten a little lackluster and not as energized as I usually am, but, I will say once we roll the balls out, it's just kind of, I change. And I told my wife the other day, I said, it feels good to be back out here again. I'm excited. I like the changes that we've made on defense and offense, and I wasn't too happy tonight, but at the same time, we had a scrimmage on Saturday, and I feel like I'm back at it full force. I'm competitive, and I just want to get after it.
Well, you're way too young to retire, and I think you'll be coaching for a long, long time. And the energy that I guess where I'm coming at this from is I coached high school football for 13 years, and I did feel a little fatigued just working on the film, and the routine got a little bit old for me after a while, and I was stressed out, honestly. Coaching sometimes can be stressful, at least it was for me. You kind of manage that, I feel like, with your preparation, the hours that you spend on the weekend breaking the film down and getting ready for your opponents. It's something that you can't help but do. I feel like it's just hardwired into you to be ready every single practice and every single game. And that probably helps you at the stress part, because your kids are prepared, right?
Right. It's stress. It's still stressful, but it's stressful more because I'm tired. Right. And, I'm not really stressed going into games because I do prepare. And believe me, I've tried to think of many ways to water it down more. And I keep thinking we're successful. If you change something and then you're not successful, you're going to kick yourself. And it is just the way I am. Even with my math classes, I want to be prepared every day before the school day starts. So yeah, I'm probably overly prepared, and I probably do more than a lot of other coaches do. But it is the kind of the way I am, and it's still stressful. It's tiring. It's a long season, compared to football. There's no time off, really. You get the holidays, but you have to practice. You've got the tournament. We play the first day back from break. You play on school nights, so you might be We've got a week in February where we're going to go to Ida on a Tuesday and then Dundee on a Thursday. Well, those are 2 school nights, and those are 2 of our 3 longest trips of the year. And it just wears you out when you got to get back up in the morning and get back to school and teach and then get ready for practice and watch film. And, it wears you down. By February, I'm whipped.
I predict what will happen, and Martin and I have talked about this a few times because you're just such a prepared coach and you're so passionate about it. I think you'll coach through Adam, and then you'll be at a college somewhere. Are we far off? Is that a crazy statement? Trying to break some news tonight.
Yeah, I'm too old for college now. Too old.
You don't have a gray hair in your head, man. You still look really good.
Oh, I've got some gray ones. They're just hidden back there. Maybe in hindsight, if I would have known how this was going to go when I was 24, maybe I would have looked into college coaching then. But I like where I'm at. And not that coaching college wouldn't be fun. I enjoy that atmosphere as well. I've been to practices at Michigan State, and I've gone to games, and I've been in the locker rooms, and it's great. But at the same time, I don't think I would start that now. You'd have to start as an assistant and work your way up, and I don't see myself getting a head job at a college anywhere right out of high school. And and if it was something, it'd probably be Division III or NAIA. And quite frankly, I think this is better than that.
Fair point. Do you ever go up against one of these kids, a brand new coach, and you can tell that they don't know what they're doing yet, and just take pleasure in dismantling them? Because they don't, you see the game, you're playing checkers, they're playing chess, that kind of thing. Like you see the game and it slows down for you, and your kids know every inbounds play that they're going to run. We've talked about that a lot of times. Your kids are just so well prepared, and you put so much into the game plan. And then some of these young coaches coming out probably talk good, but their teams just aren't prepared. Do you see that, or are these kids, even the young coaches, really ready to go?
Depends who they are, and it depends how much experience they've had. Like Ida this year's got a new coach, but he's coached with his father coaches Adrian Madison, who is obviously they're good every year. He played for his dad. He coached under his dad. So I'm thinking he's going to step in and be pretty prepared and do a lot of things that Adrian Madison's done. On the flip side, sometimes you get some young guys. Last year we played Dundee, and they went to a little bit of a stall. They were quicker than we were. And we changed up our defense in the second quarter and just threw a triangle and two out on them. And it is kind of fun sometimes to watch that they had zero answer for what we did. I think they scored 10 points the rest of the night. There's times you step off the floor and you think, boy, really outcoached that guy tonight. Other times you think, I got outcoached myself, or I missed this, I missed that. But the bottom line is, it's still all about your guys and about your players. And, we call the shots, but those guys got to go and make the plays and make the baskets. And, they're the ones that make me look good in the end.
Such a tough district draw last year. I know you were concerned about that first district game that you ended up losing. Some of the public and the fans were shocked. They knew that you were going to face Austin Davis for the third time and all of this stuff. But I never got the feeling, talking to Martin and talking to Ben and some of the guys, that you overlooked that opponent. You guys practiced really hard and got ready for them. They just had a good night.
They had a good night. And the injury bug hit us at a bad time last year. We went and played Columbia Central twice at their place. We went over there on a Saturday afternoon. Ethan gets hurt, twists his ankle. Now, he was back for the Adrian game, but you could tell he wasn't at full speed. Ben went down the last game of the season against Adrian Madison, and, he trotted around out there a little bit against Adrian, but couldn't help us at all. Now, to make no excuses, Adrian came out and hit some big threes early, and they got up 14 on us. And quite frankly, I don't think they thought they could beat us, and they spread the floor and stalled, and they were quicker than we were. They had a good game plan as far as being ahead and let's shorten the game. And we got a little tight and got in some foul trouble. But, the bottom line is we came back, we took the lead, we were up with 1:30 to go, and couldn't close the deal, And, I would definitely think some of our guys were looking forward to playing Onstead again. Onstead was watching that last part of that game, and I know who they were rooting for. They didn't want to play us 3 times. Personally, I think we could have beaten Onstead had we gotten them one more time. We were ready. I thought we were ready the first 2 times personally, but we did want another crack at them. So it was disappointing. But, That district's tough, and it's not going to be any easier this year. You know, it's the same district, but Jonesville's out and Chelsea's in. I mean, that's a tough trade. Chelsea's good.
Talking to Brad Felix here. We'll bring in some of his players in a couple of minutes, but I had a lot of questions to run by you. When I get a chance to talk to you, I take advantage of it. Austin Davis, is he going to be an average player in the Big Ten, above average, below average? I mean, you've studied him a little bit. It might be hard to project his ceiling at the college level, but what do you think about him? I know a lot of fans watching Michigan are anxious to see what he can do.
I think it really hinges on his defense at that level. He didn't have to play defense in high school at all. I think he's got the offensive skills to play at Michigan. He can shoot the ball. He's a good free throw shooter. He's as big as anybody. So and he's going to get older and stronger and bigger and smarter. So again, I always tell people you got to imagine Austin when he's 20. He's going to be better than he was when he was 16. But how he translates his defense to that level where he's actually going to have to guard somebody now. I saw a lot of weaknesses on film with his defense, the way his footwork was poor. But he could recover at our level and still block your shot or make you miss. His job was to block shots, and I'm not saying that was poorly coached. I would have done the same thing with him, stand in the paint and bother people. But he's going to have to learn how to play defense at Michigan, and if he can, then I think he'll play.
Well, I mean, I think John Beilein would like a decent big. I mean, that's not a strength of theirs right now. Rebounding, I think, is going to be an issue. He likes big guys who can shoot. I think Austin might be able to do that a little bit. We'll see. He hasn't gotten on the court yet, has he?
No, but I saw him.
Will he be redshirted this year?
I'm sure he'll redshirt. He's not playing games. I don't even think he's suiting up, but I did see his face behind the bench at Madison Square Garden the other night. So, you know, being redshirted isn't all bad either. You go from Onstead to New York City. That's pretty cool.
Brad Felix is our guest tonight at the Broad Street Tavern, where it's Taco Tuesday, and Rick pounded a couple of the chicken tacos. My buddy Dave Johnson's here, knee-deep into a hamburger right now. When we come back, we're going to talk to the Hornet Basketball captains live from the Broad Street Tavern on the Timeout Show. Did we mention that it's Taco Tuesday at the Broad Street Tavern? It's delicious tacos for you at a great price. They've got their new 5-spot menu available, and they've got the Dale Vaughn Band coming up on New Year's Eve. Brad will probably be there with his wife Heather as they bring in the new year proper here at the Broad Street Underground. Your captains this year, Brad, are Ethan Bernard, Bryce Drews, and Connor McCosh. Take a minute and talk about these guys.
Well, all three bring some experience to the table for us. You know, Bryce is going to be a third-year player for us. We brought him up as a freshman. So really, you know, we expect him to play like a senior right now. One of our bigger guys, we're pretty small this year. So Ethan and Bryce are the biggest guys we have. But, you know, we think Bryce can score it, rebound it, shoot it a little bit. Ethan started last year as well. So he's got experience. He's been in a lot of good games. But really, those two, between Bryce and Ethan, they bring probably our biggest scoring punch, our best players by far offensively, and bring back the most game experience. Connor probably has the best IQ on the team of all our guys, knows our plays, usually have to correct him once, and it gets fixed. So he'll run the point for us a lot this year. I think coming off the football field, having played quarterback helps a little bit as well. But he just, you know, his job is to get us into our sets and provide us with some open threes.
Connor, your co-captains here have really long hair. Your hair is still relatively short. Will you grow yours out?
I will not grow mine out.
Okay, there you heard. I told you we were going to break some news tonight. Do you support Bryce and Ethan's hair choices?
I'll support them either way with their hair choices. If they want to grow it out, they can grow it out, I guess.
Fine with you. They look pretty good. You know, they can pull it off. I don't know that I could do it. I enjoyed watching you play football this year. I know you were disappointed to miss the playoffs, but your team was competitive, and you really did show a lot of improvement throughout the year. Throwing me off a little bit with the wing tee there at the end. That had to be a shocker when Coach talked about doing that, huh?
Yeah, it was definitely a shocker, but I knew Coach had a plan with what he was going to do, so we just facilitated the best I could and got the job done.
Your coach just said that you had one of the best IQs for the game of basketball on your team. What does that mean to you? What do you feel like your responsibility is on the floor for your team to be successful?
I feel my responsibility is just to get the guys where they're supposed to be, whether it's telling them to get all the way across the court or just tell them a set and let's run this play and facilitate throughout the team.
Is there any analogy that you can make between running high school quarterback and a point guard on a basketball team? Obviously, they're different sports. Are there some things you can carry over or really not so much?
Definitely the leadership aspect carries over. I mean, Coach Lem taught me a lot about leadership. Coach Felix teaches me a lot about leadership, so I'll carry the leadership aspect over, definitely.
Bryce Drews probably has played as much basketball as any junior in the state of Michigan. I mean, he has played a lot since his freshman year, and you're already a junior, Bryce. You've got to be excited for the season, right, man?
Yeah, I'm really excited, and we're looking forward to a good season, league championship. That's what we're thinking, and I like this group of guys, and I think we can accomplish big things like we have in the past.
How tough? I haven't talked to you a lot in the past, so I'll take you back to when you were a freshman in a big spot with Patrick and Martin and all those guys and big expectations. You played quite a bit on that team. Was that exciting for you? Was it nerve-wracking for you? How did you handle that as a freshman, that gigantic leap from 8th grade to playing at a really high level for a good basketball team?
It's a big jump. It was a little of both. I was really nervous to start off. The first 2-3 games, I didn't really play that much. But halfway through the season, I think I started from there on out, I'm pretty sure. And then it got really exciting once we got the league championship after we beat Dundee at Dundee. That was really exciting. And then we won districts. That was really exciting. And then we lost in regionals, and I was nervous. I was nervous. It was a big stage, but it was mostly exciting. And, yeah.
Your role this year, obviously, Coach said Connor's going to be operating at the point quite a bit, so you'll be an off guard. Do you see your job as really to score the basketball?
I just want to do what my team needs me to do. Some nights I might have not that many points and have a lot of assists to people who have mismatches. We have a few guys that can post up other than me and Ethan, and so maybe if they have a mismatch, we'll be feeding them the ball a lot. If I need to be a shooter that night, I'll be a shooter. I'll drive, stuff like that.
Most likely to have an in-game dunk on your team this year?
Maybe you might see me dunk it this year, but Coach Felix, everyone knows how he is, but I might have to do it a couple times, or we'll see.
Can Ethan dunk it?
Yes.
Ethan said he was pointing at you when I asked that question, so he thinks you're going to be the most likely to have an in-game dunk. Now, we talked a lot with Ben Baxter last year. He promised 2 or 3 in-game dunks. He actually did have some dunks in some games last year. Bernard, I feel like you're a guy who can really get up there around the rim, and you're going to at least attempt one this year, right?
We'll see. I don't know. Coach is he's iffy about the dunk, so I think I'm just going to lay it in for 2, get the easy 2.
I was at your Columbia Central game last year when I think it was your ankle that you hurt. Obviously, you were in a whole lot of pain. I didn't think there was any chance you'd be able to play in the playoff game, and yet you did try to play in that game. How tough was it for you to suit up and try to get back out there so quickly?
Well, it was really tough. I was going to the chiropractor, getting my ankle lasered probably every day, missing the end of school, and I was doing whatever it took to get back out there because I knew the guys needed me, and I just wanted to get out there for them and coach too.
The thing that was terrible that night, and the unfortunate irony was that was probably your best game. I mean, you were on fire on that game and probably shooting the ball as well as I've ever seen you shoot it. And then to have that injury happen that night, your mom shot out of the stands like a cannon, because you were playing so well, and everybody could tell you were really hurt. When you think back to that game, you got to think, man, I really shot the ball well. That was cool, but then I got hurt. So is it a positive or a negative when you think back at it?
Well, it was a negative. I mean, I was on a roll, I guess, and the team was fine. We didn't have a lot of injuries, and then right at the end of the season, the worst part to get injured. Me, Ben, Martin was still getting back, so it was probably a negative.
The last couple of years you've had Pat, you've had Martin, you've had Ben. Forget about the offensive side, but I'm thinking defensively to do the job in the low post and around the painted area. Now I'm assuming you're going to have to help out on some of those bigger players down in the painted area defensively. How have you worked on getting stronger and preparing to kind of hold up to that pounding that you'll take down there in the block?
Well, last year was a big test. I mean, I had to guard Martin and Ben and them at practice every day, so I think I'll be ready for whoever is up against me.
It's a good group of captains. These kids bring some diversity of skills. I think Bryce Drews, for my money, is one of the better players around. I've enjoyed watching him play. Obviously, he's really experienced. I don't think he's going to see anything this season that will really surprise him at this point. And the leadership of Connor and obviously Ethan, I think you're pretty good set from that standpoint. Let's talk about some of the other kids who are going to have to make contributions.
Well, right now, those are spots that are definitely up for grabs every day in practice. We're looking at Spencer Eves to make a big step. We brought him up as a freshman last year, and he was maybe not quite as ready as we thought he was, but we made him suffer through it, knowing that we would need him this year. And he's another gym rat. He's a lot like Bryce. He plays a lot of basketball. So we'll see how Spencer does when the lights come on. Joe Wilcox has been a surprise for us in practice. He's come with a new attitude. I like his attitude. He's playing extremely hard for us in practice. He's asking questions in film. He's shooting the ball well. And, another guy, the other two guys that I think are going to fight for playing time are Sam Nash. Sam is just a scrapper. He'll be one of those kids that people like to watch play, but he won't score much. Just one of those guys that's going to dive into the bench for a loose ball. He's going to take a charge. He's going to get some rebounds. I like those kind of guys. And lastly, Colin Brown has a lot of skill around the rim. Right now, he's probably one of our best offensive rebounders. He's always around the basket. He'll contribute a little bit, especially when we need some size. He's about 6'2", so he can bring some size to the floor as well. But, I think we're probably 7 or 8 deep. And, not to say that some of those other guys can't step up and work their way back into the lineup as well. But I think as of today, that's where we stand.
But Heather has a whole set of books lined up for the season.
Books?
Every time I go watch a game, when our sons played together, she was always reading.
Well, she reads all the time.
She would watch the game, but then she would read.
Yeah, that's accurate. She does that at home too.
It's not all bad. She has her Kindle and she uses it, right?
Right. Well, I like to watch basketball, so she's quiet.
Fair. Will you seek a dispensation from the state to get an allowance to bring Adam up this year?
He's nowhere near ready to come up.
I couldn't help myself. My son Owen played with Adam for many years, and he's a great kid. I think he's going to be a good player, and it's going to be fun to see him in the next couple of years play for Coach Felix. I think that'll be fun.
It'll be fun. And my wife is a little bit nervous about him playing for me, but we'll see. Adam keeps saying he's going to come up next year and play on the varsity like Bryce Drews did. So I don't see that happening, but, you never know.
Hey, Martin made it.
Yeah, I know. Anything can happen.
If Martin can do it, who can't? I had something else to ask you, but it slipped my mind. Brad, obviously, we love your team. You have a great basketball program. These guys really make our community proud with the way they represent the school as a bunch of hardworking, disciplined kids. Your kids are disciplined. They know the game plan. They understand what you expect of them, and you work very hard. I think it's going to be another fun season, and we wish you all the best.
All right, thanks. It should be fun. I think the fans will have a lot of fun watching us play. We are in transition, but we're still – the cupboard's not bare by any means. We're not looking at it that way at all. We still have plans of winning the league. But this is probably about as even as I've seen the league since we've entered. It's been kind of a 2 or 3 team race every year, and I don't see it that way this year. I think everybody's going to be pretty good, and I think 2 or 3 losses, you could be in it.
Is your daughter a senior this year?
My daughter's a senior. First game's tonight.
So I got to get you out of here, but she has the record now for 3-pointers in a game, right?
She does, yep. And unfortunately, she's been moved to the post area, so I don't know if she's going to be able to break her old record or not. We'll see. I hope she throws her back up behind the line.
Where are they at tonight?
Hillsdale Academy.
Oh, so there you go. Brad, thank you. I appreciate your time. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I get your guys' photo here in just a second, so hang tight. I want to thank the Hornets for being here and all of their great fans. Your first game, Coach, is when?
We open at home against Leslie on December 13th.
December 13th, home versus Leslie Hornet Basketball here tonight at the Broad Street Tavern. We'll take another break, and Martin and Rick when we come back.